Hey guys, this video is part of a monthly series where we talk about altcoins you should be keeping your eye on over the next few months, and coins that we see as having a decent chance of being profitable speculative investment opportunities. Now, I'm not qualified to provide financial advice, nor am I an expert, and instead you should treat this video as a representation of my personal mindset and the strategy for making cryptocurrency purchases. So what we're seeing at the end of April is a return of sentiment. The total market cap broke through 400 billion the other day and is at about 50% of the all-time high after the crash from the middle of January. And overall, it's an exciting time right now. We're seeing companies kick goals in relation to their roadmaps. We're seeing more legitimate partnership announcements with established industry. And we're seeing ICOs that were bought into in January finally launching and making returns on people's initial investments. So now what I'm going to do is give you my 3 picks to keep an eye on in the next few months. And after you've done your own research, you might consider picking these up yourself. So first up is going to be Request Network. In my opinion, Request Network is criminally undervalued. And it's for a very simple reason, because it is a good product with a simple use case that is meeting all its goals. Currently, the currency sits in, I think, just below 100 now in terms of rank. But we wrote an article on this back in February where we explain what this does and why it is the payment solution of the future. In a very short description, what this does is it provides you a new payment service where you can issue invoices, break down payments into small transactions, and it also allows firms to conduct accounting and auditing through its systems. It's an all-in-one payment solution. Now, one of the best examples I think to give is the idea of microtransactions. What this allows a person to do, for example, is if they were paying for rent, instead of paying a lump sum at the end of the month, they could perhaps choose to break down payments into $20 a day. Because the reality is people get paid in different ways if they're working part-time jobs or casual jobs. And having this liberty in terms of how you're conducting your finances and how you're paying people is the market issue that Request Network is trying to solve. And honestly, they're doing a really good job at it. We've seen that very recently their main network launched, which was great to see, but also they've been announcing some pretty impressive partnerships, including the one with PricewaterhouseCoopers in the France and African outlet. And if you're not aware, PwC is a huge firm. I think it's the second or third largest professional services firm in the world, along with EY, Deloitte, and others. And they're an auditing assurance consulting firm. And it just makes perfect sense that Request Network would be collaborating with them on this project. But in addition to that, Request Network has also been great in making these cross partnerships with other cryptocurrencies and blockchain projects and really immersing themselves in the cryptocurrency community to the benefit of everyone. And you can see here that they've got partnerships with BToken, with QuantStamp, and with other crypto services because they see the advantage of collaborating with these other projects instead of seeing it as a competitive dog-eat-dog world. And I just think that sort of positivity in the field is something that should really be looked forward to. And looking at the chart, we can see that, yep, it absolutely dumped after the January crash, but I've been picking it up since it hit below 15 cents. And even along here, I'm happy to sort of pick up more because while you shouldn't use previous milestones in price as a baseline, at rank 104, this is definitely undervalued. And picking it up at this price is something that if you're holding for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, you're not going to regret it. And in terms of what the project is putting out, well, you never want to say that something is a sure thing, but this is probably as close as it can get. So anyway, moving on to our next one, we've got Pundi X. Now, Pundi X is something I've spoken about before. We've written an article about it, and I've made a video about it. And this is just a service which I think has so much utility in the crypto space. First and foremost, what they're doing is bringing crypto to Southeast Asia, China, and eventually moving beyond that. But don't sort of overestimate it. That's very much where they're starting. And what they're doing is they're setting up a proof of sale device to really normalize cryptocurrency and just make it accessible. Because, as some of you, I hope, can guess, one of the biggest drawbacks in the space at the moment is just that it's damn hard to engage with it and to set up wallets and to make transactions until you've really been educated on it. And the companies who simplify these processes are the ones that are going to make a killing in this market. And Pundi X, in my opinion, is one of those. And you can even see on their website the product which they have developed is very much working and available. Now, I believe this is an older version of the product, but even here you can see it's a simple interface. It's easy to engage with. You just tap your phone, which connects to your wallet, and then you've made a crypto transaction. And I just think this is going to absolutely kill the market in the next year or two when it really gets rolling. But that said, it has been moving very quickly. Pundi is partnered with NEM, and they've already delivered 20,000 units to the NEM Foundation. And from there, we'll see this product distributed to businesses and companies all over the world. And if you live in Southeast Asia or you go backpacking through there, keep an eye out for it. And if you see these, tweet about it, promote it, because it's very, very cool. And tweet at me, because I'd love to see these in a working environment. But anyway, moving on, we can also see that Pundi is setting up conferences, they're promoting themselves really well, and also they've finished their token swap. Now, this was a controversial process, but regardless, it's in the past now, and the new tokens have been released under the new ticker of NPXS. And holding these also gives you the added benefit of you're getting a certain amount redistributed back to you, I believe, monthly. And while perhaps in the long term this could have issues with inflation, at the moment there's just so much good news happening with this project that I wouldn't be worrying about that at the moment. And compared to a lot of other projects at this point in time, we can see on the chart that it has just been on an upward trajectory. Of course, if you look at the PXS ticker instead of the NPX one, and you look back to January, then yes, it did dump after its ICO like so many projects. But we've seen that in the middle of April, it shot up, and this isn't a pump, it's hanging in there. And while you might want to wait for a little bit of a pullback just in terms of how much it's exploded lately, you shouldn't feel bad or like you're doing something wrong by picking it up at this height, because it's a project that you're holding for the long term, because it won't even be meeting its main milestones for the next year. So at this price, I wouldn't mind picking it up. But if you're a bit more cautious or you're not convinced, then sure, wait for it to pull back a little bit. But who knows, if you wait for a pullback, you might very well end up regretting that. And I can't be the one to tell you to pull the trigger or not. You're just going to have to go with your gut feeling on that. But moving on, and if you've been paying attention to the tabs, and you've probably noticed, is we're going to talk about Power Ledger. Very simply, Power is a peer-to-peer marketplace for renewable energy where people can trade electricity with one another and receive payment in real time. It means that if people have excess power from their renewable energy sources, such as solar panels on their roof, it means that they can trade this for a profit and also just lower their bills overall. Now, we haven't done an article on this yet, but you can go to their website and read about it. Generally though, I think this product is just so well received in the cryptocurrency market space. They had one of the most professional initial coin offerings I've ever seen, and in part that's due to the professional legal services they received from Gilbert and Tobin, which is a very well-renowned technology legal firm in Australia. And I really do hope that other blockchain projects take sort of inspiration from this, that if you put the effort into getting professional advice and meeting all the regulation requirements, you're going to do very, very well. And even here, you can just see the team is huge. There are so many people working on this, including Frankie, the social committee president, who's very, very handsome, in my opinion. And honestly, there's just been so much good news coming out of this project. You can see here, for example, that they've partnered with a Japanese firm to trial their renewable energy services, which is honestly just great to see this Western Australian based company is taking on a international focus, particularly with Japan, which is a country known for its stricter regulations and its greater reluctance for foreign investment. And further to that, we see that the Australian government is actually very warm to the Power Ledger platform. And in an $8 million project grant which they've given to the Fremantle Smart City, they will actually be using the Power Ledger platform. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, Fremantle is a very trendy place sort of south of Perth, and they're industrial, and they're trying to be this Silicon Valley of Australia. Of course, it's nowhere near as big, but it's just very cool to see this local adoption and that they're trialing the Power Ledger platform. And honestly, I can't wait to see how this project turns out and what further information the team can give on it. Now, looking at what's happened with Power Ledger in terms of price, we can see that compared to a lot of other projects after the January crash, it's actually held up quite well, which is always what you want to see in a project. In terms of rank, I believe it was hitting about rank 50, so compared to other currencies, it has actually sort of taken a hit. But at these prices and knowing the long-term perspective of the project, I'm very comfortable purchasing it here. And regardless of whether it goes up or down, I'm just going to be picking it up over the next few months because we've seen that the team has such a solid professional foundation, and that in the long run, it is one of the projects that when the sort of shitcoins and the trashier projects and currencies fade away, this is one that you can guarantee will be sticking around. So I think I'll wrap this video up here for the sake of brevity. You can of course go to our articles if you want to read more and get more detailed information, and of course do your own research. There's plenty of freely available articles out there written by people who are passionate about this space, just like us at TheBitFeed, and you can get your own information and do your own research in that way. If you want to keep up with what TheBitFeed is doing, then please follow us on Twitter. We put out an article about every week, and we try to share our videos through this platform as well. And you can actually see here that we're accepting submissions. The Quash review was written by a writer who got in contact with me through Reddit, and we were very happy to share it through our platform. And it's very cool to see that there are more people who are happy to write with the space and engage with looking at currencies in a very objective way to analyze whether there's merit to them and whether they're needed. So definitely check out our Quash review. If you're very passionate about this space like we at TheBitFeed are, then please write to us, get in contact, and we can work together and collaborate. And definitely come to our website, subscribe, and you'll get email notifications whenever we put out an article. But for now, I think it's fine if we just wrap it up here. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.